So it was almost 6 years ago that I told Ricardo that together we were going to take over the world, that he was going to be the Goebbels to my Hitler, that I had imperial ambitions. We were going to replace the mainstream media, right? That we were going to develop a podcasting, blogging, vlogging empire, that we were going to revolutionize human communication and revolutionize ethical standards, that life would not be the same once we joined forces, right? I laid out this grand imperial project to Ricardo and I didn't follow through, right? Can you imagine how betrayed he feels? And so I was just reading the front page of the New York Times right now, and Ukrainians, guys, they're stunned, they're hurting. Our brother Ukrainians are in so much pain right now because Donald Trump, can you believe it? He accused the Ukrainians of starting the war with Russia. Can you imagine how painful that must be for the brave Ukrainian people and their brave leader Zelensky to be denigrated by Donald Trump after how much they've suffered? Like, how on earth could Donald Trump say that Ukraine started the war with Russia? Well, Ukraine took steps that made Russia smashing it inevitable. And you say, how can that be, 40? That makes no sense. Well, Ukraine exists on the border of Russia, which is a major nuclear power. And so Ukraine does not get to have its own foreign policy. Just like Canada and Mexico don't get to have their own foreign policy because they live next to the United States. You live next to a superpower, right? You don't get freedom to decide your own foreign policy. So Ukraine decided that it was going to ally with Russia's enemies, that it wanted to be integrated into the EU, it wanted to be integrated into NATO. It wanted to build up its armed forces and receive training and material from the West, particularly from America. It wanted the United States to guarantee Ukrainian sovereignty. And in the face of this, it was inevitable that Russia was just going to smash the Jesus out of Ukraine. Because imagine that Mexico decided that it was going to enter into a military alliance with China. And Chinese experts descending on Mexico, completely revamping their armed forces. China supplies all sorts of weapons to Mexico, that China establishes bases in Mexico, that the Chinese economy is integrated with the Mexican economy. Right? The United States would not put up with that. Right? The United States would go in there and smash the Jesus out of Mexico if it allied with America's enemy, China. So too, once Ukraine starts doing everything it can to ally with the United States and with Western Europe, right, who are effectively geostrategic, geopolitical enemies of Russia, of course Russia was just going to go in there and smash the Jesus out of Ukraine. So I remember there was this plain woman who asked me out, and I'm an incredibly chivalrous man. I could never say no to a woman. So it started out weird. We were meeting at a bookstore, and she had an employee come up to me and say that this particular woman, she was waiting outside on the patio, and it was just all very weird. And then we went for a walk around the shopping center, and then she invited me back to her place. Then she asked me if I wanted a massage. I wasn't going to turn down a massage, so I took off my shirt. She rubbed my back. One thing led to another, and she told me to turn over. So I turned over, and she straddled me, and she started massaging my chest. Then she started massaging my stomach, and then something physiological happened. All right, I suddenly entered a state of extreme arousal, and I'd never, ever thought of, looked at, considered this woman in a lustful way. But suddenly my physiology had changed. The situation had changed. She had seduced me. She'd manipulated me. She'd taken advantage of my kindness. And suddenly I was going to it with great enthusiasm, whereas 5 minutes before I'd never, ever considered this woman in that way. But she'd placed me in a situation where it was inevitable that she was going to get smashed. So I had a girlfriend who took advantage of me. We were just lying together in bed very chastely, and she starts describing that photo layout of the first black Miss America who'd posed for Penthouse years before with another woman. My girlfriend starts providing details of this photo layout that she'd seen, and she provided the kindling. All right, she created the situation where it was inevitable that my girlfriend was then going to get smashed. And so when Ukraine starts making out with the United States and starts offering handjobs to various European powers, right, it's inevitable that Vladimir Putin and Russia are going to say, no way, Jose, you're getting smashed. And so Ukraine got smashed. And so, yes, Ukraine started the war in the sense that they created a situation where a war was inevitable. Just like these various women, they created situations where it was inevitable that they were going to get smashed. Right? In a completely chivalrous and unselfish gesture, after Shabbos, many years ago, when I was not as spiritually developed as I am now, I gave a woman a ride home from synagogue. She invited me in, and she put on this very artistic porn movie. And after a few minutes, right, she got smashed because she created a situation where it was inevitable that she was going to get smashed. And so Ukraine created a situation where it was inevitable that it was going to get smashed. And it's a shame the people in Europe have not read great work by an Italian sociologist called Betrayals, the Unpredictability of Human Nature. So we never even fully know ourselves. The exciting thing about bringing someone into your life is that they are going to bring out parts of you that you may have been completely unaware of. And so we can never fully know ourselves, let alone another person. Ergo, it's inevitable that whenever you create a connection with other people, that there will be feelings of betrayal that will come up. Because when you form any kind of bond with someone, right, whenever you start to create any kind of whenever there's any kind of joint project that you start with someone, right, hopes and dreams are going to be aroused, and different parts of yourself are going to come out, different parts of them are going to emerge. We never fully know ourselves, never fully know others, and it's inevitable that each of us, in our own ways, will behave in ways that the other party did not expect. Ergo, that creates a tremendous feeling of betrayal. But betrayal is just a hyperbolic term that we use for the unpleasant discovery that other people's priorities are not exactly what we anticipated. Okay, Ukraine forgot about the subtleties of iron cage living. Yeah, we're all living in an iron cage. And what's happening? I am bestowing great wisdom about life. Have you ever seen a black and white porn movie? No. Yes, I have. I mean, but I was only looking at it for the lighting, and for the dialogue, and for the script, and for the composition. Right? I was interested in the way they framed their shots and what it said about Mexican American culture in the 1920s. Those were the only reasons that I'd ever lower myself to look at such material. So, New York Times, all about how the Europeans feel betrayed. They feel like they've woken up and they're in a zombie movie. They thought the United States was the repository of liberal democracy, where we seek to preserve the common values that the United States and Europe cherish. But people change, feelings change, seasons change. And the United States now has all these incentives to make some kind of peace with Putin, try to wean him away from China, reestablish normal relations with Russia. end this war that is costing the United States so many billions of dollars. And far worse than the billions is the horrible relations that it is established with Russia. So we don't even know how many billions of dollars of damage Russia may well have done to us in revenge for our support of Ukraine. Right. From John Mearsheimer's perspective, our support of Ukraine in its war with Russia is 10 times the foreign policy disaster that the crazy 2003 invasion of Iraq was. Kind of freaky when a car is just following you down an alley, when my attention is just solely focused on providing wisdom and clarity to my audience, and then there's this creeping car just moving along, crackling beside me as I'm trying to provide a high quality audio and intellectual experience for my 2 viewers on YouTube right now. And this bloody car comes along. I think it's the deep state. See, USAID, it funds people like the person driving this car to create pro-Ukrainian propaganda. So, very respectful treatment of Mike Benz on the front page of the New York Times right now. It's a conversation about how the right has co-opted the left's suspicion of the CIA and of American use of soft power to subvert other nations. So there's nothing inherently right or left about using quote-unquote soft power to rearrange the politics of other nations, but traditionally this has been a critique that's come from the left. But now the article talks about Mike Benz holding forth on how America uses soft power and its intelligence agencies to overthrow and subvert foreign governments, and how this used to always be a critique of the left. Mike Benz is citing these books by left-wing academics, and it's an incredibly respectful treatment of Mike Benz. So, just one oblique reference to his days as frame game radio, but now he is the embodiment of a powerful and influential new intellectual, cultural, and political trend where the right is taking on critiques of the deep state that used to be made primarily by the left. So this is the most respectful mainstream media treatment of Mike Benz that I've seen yet. So he has completely made the transition from radical frame game radio live streamer to respected voice on American foreign policy, intelligence, disinformation, soft power, USAID, the CIA, and the like. So way to go, Mike Benz. Because I generally agree with Mike Benz's politics, and so even if not every word and phrase and sentence that he utters is nectar from the lips of God, even if he does not optimize for truth quite as much as I would like, it is heartening to see how successful he has been. But whenever we create we create the inevitability of betrayal. I mean, I offered Ricardo the world, man. I said, we are going to change Western civilization. How would I feel if my lawyer lost a case because he relied on AI? I would feel that my lawyer was the idiot. I wouldn't blame AI. I'd blame my lawyer, just the same way as if we lost the case because my lawyer did something wrong with his cell phone or with his fax machine or with an email or with a filing, right? I wouldn't blame the cell phone or the fax machine. I'd blame my lawyer, and then I'd sue him. And so how do you sue your lawyer? You have to be able to establish that if he hadn't been incompetent, right, you would not have lost X amount of money, or you would have gained so much money. And you have to show that his behavior was below the standard of care. And those are essentially the two bases for a legal malpractice case. Europeans are feeling like Eurotrash. Look, now that you have been remonetized, any plans to expand your channel to a new income stream? I don't even know what that means. But yeah, When will Northern Halves receive a respectful New York Times story? So, any plans to expand your channel to a new? I don't even know what that means. I'm Elliot Blatt. I'm just a humble servant of the truth, and I am chastened now. And I think back on the lofty imperial plans that I laid out to Ricardo, and I said, "Bro, be the Goebbels to my Fuhrer. Like, we're gonna take over mainstream media. We're gonna revolutionize human communication. We're gonna rewrite the book of ethics." And then, poor Ricardo must have felt incredibly betrayed as I stopped doing the things that engineered a large audience and just very selectively, reduced my viewership just to a manageable few people, so we can keep things on a very high plane. Do I want to stack some cabbage? Bro, I think that is slang for money, and I am down with money, bro. I'm all for money. We're going to shut their lying mouths. Okay, so I am so excited this afternoon. I think I can promise a mammoth live stream where all I do is read aloud from Betrayals, the betrayals, the unpredictability of human relations. This should be so exciting. And I'll be able to provide a nuanced understanding of exactly what the Europeans, in particular our brothers in Ukraine, are feeling right now. It must be so painful for them to be accused of starting the war with Russia. And it's a shame that this book, Betrayals, I think I'm the only person who's championed this book. But now is the time, right? Europeans need to read Forgive for Good by Fred Luskin, and then they need to add Betrayals, the unpredictability of human relations. And that way they're going to be able to let go of their needless resentment and fear and recognize that feelings change, people change. Expand the panel. What's the name of the new high IQ caller? His name is Michael. Bye-bye.